Hello, it's June 23rd. This is a follow up for video number 16. I was working on that yesterday, but decided I needed to do a little more editing. I'm going to add this to the beginning. Uh, I'm not very good at making videos, obviously, yet. I don't speak very well. Uh, I wasn't very good at writing when I started out. The only problem with this is who else is going to do this? You're not going to find this content from anyone else. No one is going to make another atom model. Nobody's going to tell you that negative charge doesn't exist. No one's else is going to tell you that every form of radiation has mass. Nobody's going to tell you that. And some people will dismiss it and say that's crazy. No one is going to have a Jesus scenario exactly like mine. A lot of people try to tell you that there was no Jesus that ever existed. Those people are worse in their thinking than religious people who think Jesus rose from the dead. Okay, that's how messed up things are right now. You're not going. The problem with me doing these. Okay, the problem with me. I'm not very good at this, and I'm not right about everything necessarily. Nevertheless, you're not going to get this anywhere else. That's why you have to put up with someone like me speaking this. Because this is what needs to be done. Okay, no one else is going to think that. They're going to think that, necessarily, they're going to think that, oh, as long as we can make stuff that people buy, that works. We don't know why really it works, but we're good enough at it that when we make stuff people works, we make money off of it. That's all that matters. No, we have an insane world we live in with radical Islam. We have religions screwing up the minds of people, okay? They're told this is good, this is the God that created us, and nobody, not very many people investigate it, And let's just talk about ADD for a second, or ADHD. Why do people have attention deficit disorder or something like that? Because they believe, you can say it's chemical if you want to, but maybe it's because they believe that the only person they should really listen to is their own mind themselves. That almost nobody else is even worth listening to. Once in a while they find someone they like and they'll listen to. But in the world we live in, some people believe that listening to their own mind is a lot better use of time than listening to somebody else, because you may think because of all these scientific achievements we have today that, how could we be wrong about the best philosophical approach humans should take about why we should interact socially in a certain way, and not in an abrasive way, not in an aggressive way. Why? Because we were created and so we're going to be robots because some God's will is supposed to take over our minds every second? No. Anyway, that's the kind of world we're living in today, okay? And I'm the one who's addressing this in the way I am. We live in an all physical world and universe. There's nothing spiritual that exists. My atom model is based on that. My physics system is based on that. The one we have right now isn't based on that. It allows massless things to exchange and pass back and forth through space. My system gets to the root of all of these problems. You say, oh, well, anything goes then. Well, not if you are responsible about it. Anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can have a moral lapse, you might call it if you want to, but it's really a cognitive mistake when you offend somebody else. Sometimes we can't help that. Maybe some people shouldn't be offended as sometimes. But if you do something that's actually out of line, you offend somebody else, it's a mental lapse. It's not a corrupt sin nature. Physics and moral philosophy are related, integral to one another. Okay? Why we do things the way we do. How can we best have social order? All of those questions. I'm not very good at speaking. Nevertheless, you're not going to get this content anywhere else in the world. I'm telling you right now. That's why I had to get better and better at writing and improve what I was coming up with. And now I'm doing videos, and I have to do videos. Why? Because you're not going to hear this from anyone else. Anyway, this becomes video 16A. I'm going to put it ahead of video 16B. I'm going to change video 16 to video 16B. And I want to use this to introduce that video. I'm editing video 16 that's going to become 16B now. And I wanted to explain, my views in this on other speakers and writers who address some of the issues that I address, that I respect some of them say. There's a lot of people who admire that are fascinating to listen to because they really do their work well. But there are others that aren't worth paying attention to. Meanwhile, I'm not a very good speaker, and I am a much better writer, especially since I've been on Facebook for the last 5 years, arguing with people and writing essays, almost daily about what I'm trying to work up and present. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that my content is unique and you're not going to get it anywhere else. I didn't want to say that in an arrogant, boastful way, which it could come off that way. But I wanted to, my mix of things you're not going to find anywhere else at this time. Now, that anybody can adopt this and work on it and improve it. There's a lot of people who, we pick up things from each other, and then we develop that. We make it our own. That needs to be happening. But as far as my content's concerned, at this time at least, I don't have to worry about anybody violating copyright. My content is a unique mix of things that includes addressing religious faith for what it really is, and also a complete physics system basis. So, and it's not something that's going to be popular at first. People have to tolerate it, and they're gonna think that I'm a quack. But for me, all I need to do is get into it and keep working on it, harmonize it, get rid of mistakes that I find that I have made, and just keep improving it. And so, I wrote a couple of books when I started out, 10 or so years ago, and they have, they show where I was at the time when I was starting this. And, it was a step, but now is the time for me to write my book after working on these things for many years and spending lots and lots of hours investigating many things. And so I wanted to make that clarification. I apologize that these videos are, when I read, I don't read well orally, but I say too much, I say pause too much, all these kind of things. But at the same time, who else is going to do this? What I'm doing, what I've researched and studied, spent my whole life really as a truth seeker to find. Who else is going to present what I think is credible. The direction we should be going. This needs to be there for people to be exposed to, and you're not going to get my mix of things from anyone else. You'll get pieces from that are similar from others, but this is a unique mix of things. I wanted to express that in this video. I'm sure there are some nonverbal cues that there's some apprehension on my part in these videos. Makes it harder to speak. The first video I did, I dropped a couple of balls in the water to see which one would make its way to the bottom before the other. Two balls with different mass. One that would float near the top. I didn't speak. For me, that really should have been enough to prove everything I have to say. That's enough to cause, that should have been enough to cause people to rethink their approach, whether relativity and the equivalence principle is correct or not. Of course, when you have people entrenched in this and their careers are submersed in this, in mistakes, that their well-being, their lifestyle depends on those things being perceived as true and correct. And you present something that refutes that, it's not going to be easy. So, even until this very video, there's apprehension and nonverbal cues. I've had to basically not have a girlfriend because of this, to do this. But this is what needs to be done. Okay. When people do videos or they're in theater, they practice speaking in public. I've never practiced speaking in public. They get their brains acclimated to that at an early age. I've never done that. The only reason I'm doing this is because it needs to be done. Because I was preyed upon by something that's false, by something that didn't deserve my mind. I said, I ought to do something about that. I found out for certain. And if you want to know how I found out for sure or certain, I have that stuff in the notes on my personal Facebook page. You can look that up. Anybody that cares about what's true, you can check and see if what I've got is correct or not. You can say, oh, it's not correct. I don't believe you can read it and actually want what's true and come to that conclusion. When dispensationalism abandon the themes of the New Testament. If the themes of the New Testament can't hold up today, if they need to be abandoned, if Jesus' words, which are caustic, we should read John 12:25 sometime. Do Christians follow that today? Wouldn't be popular. That's what the whole Gospel of John is about, the words of Jesus. Obeying the commands and the words of Jesus. That's one of the themes. Paul. Some people try to say that 1st and 2nd Timothy weren't written by Paul. I believe they were. I can't find any reason to not believe that at this time. But that's just a difference in people who are trying to find out what the historical Jesus was really like, and Paul's role and what was really historical about Paul. To me, that's a little matter. And accepting 1st and 2nd Timothy as from Paul is not even necessary to coming up with the correct conclusion. But Paul emphasized Jesus' words in 1 Timothy 6:3. According to dispensationalism, which became wildly popular in evangelicalism during the 20th century, Jesus' words were for the Jews and Paul's words were for the Gentiles. Even Paul didn't say that. I wrote a letter to my mentor when I was studying for the ministry. This is back in 1978 when I got married. I had my ex, who is my ex-wife now, she typed it up for me, sent this letter to my mentor for the next many years as I was pursuing the ministry. And I said, this right here shows that dispensationalism is wrong. And this is not a small matter. This concerns your salvation if it's really important. This concerns what we're supposed to be doing. It says we're supposed to be doing what Jesus said. When you read what Jesus said in the New Testament, he that takes not his cross and follows after me is not worthy of me. You got to be willing to be a martyr. He that loves his life more than me is not worthy of me. He that hates not his father, mother, wife, children, brethren, his own life also is not worthy of me, cannot be my disciple. He that forsakes not all that he has cannot be my disciple. You go right down the line. I mean, I haven't been practicing on those lately, all of those to make a presentation. I just pulled those up at random at this very moment. There are so many of those that are caustic, and dispensationalism, which saturated evangelicalism. We already know Catholicism is false. They didn't let the common people have the Bible. The Reformation was because the common people got a hold of the Bible. They thought the Bible was true. We don't need to go back and rethink Catholicism. Catholicism is done. You got to make progress with this stuff. Anyway, where do you go with it? When you find out that the last form of Christianity that has a chance of being true and carrying out what Jesus said, as if the world is going to end and everything's going to be made right because he comes back, and another earth, he's going to make another earth. And man, if that is man-made, and there's a way to find out, that stuff is bad, very bad for the human mind, if that's false. I mean, if you're, like I've said before, if you're just playing around with it, you're not doing the humanity any good. You need to find out whether it's true or not, like I did, and then do something about it. Anyway, there's some apprehension in my videos so far. That probably will go away as I do more. I haven't practiced on these. Haven't practiced speaking publicly in my entire life. I just wanted to, I did what I was told to do. I went to church when I was told to go to church. And then I was told to believe this, and I took it, and I was going to do what it said. And there is no way in the world it's true. No way in the world that it's true. Anyway, that's why some of this content is about religious faith. But we'll go on to number 16. Really rather spend more time on physics. I'll probably be presenting material on the historical Jesus in some of these videos. That's in my book. It takes up almost 3/4 of section 1 in my new book. But this is just to basically introduce video number 16B, and it's about my difficulties with speaking and where I am right now with that. I'm going to be working on it. Hopefully I'll get better.